and welcome to Inside Edition, where we discuss national, regional, and international issues in depth. Dedicated to enhancing the educational, economic, social, and cultural prosperity of the community since its establishment, the University of Technology Bahrain commits to high quality of learning, innovation, and dissemination of knowledge through research-inspired teaching. With its new vision, the university believes that by instilling solid foundations of technology, it will advance the discovery and application of knowledge, which will lead to a transformative and positive impact on the lives of both learners and the society. To know more about that, we are pleased to be joined here in the studio by the President of the University of Technology Bahrain, Dr. Hassan Al-Mulla. Hello and welcome back. Joining me here in the studio is the President of the University of Technology of Bahrain, Dr. Hassan Al-Mulla. Thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Doctor, first off, can you give us a views and a brief idea about the University of Technology of Bahrain and how it was established, basically, the vision, the mission that it has contributed?
Okay, so the university was established about 20 years ago, in 2002, as one of the largest private universities in Bahrain and one of the first universities in Bahrain. And I think it was, first or second private university established at that time. And towards the end of 2020, GFH Financial Group and its strategic partners acquired fully 100% the ownership of the university from the previous owner.
Okay.
And the acquisition was also made with a vision to improve the university and upgrade the university to become one of the best universities in Bahrain and the region. And especially the focus was really for the changes that we see today. Technologies everywhere. When you talk about technology, we're not talking about engineering and information technology or computer science. We're talking about technology in the financial sector. Yes. We're talking about technology almost everywhere in your mobile phone, social services. All of these make use of cutting-edge technology today. Absolutely. So the focus was that after the acquisition, there was a strategic direction from the board of directors of the university, which is chaired by His Excellency Mr. Hisham Al-Rayes, the CEO of GFH Financial Group. Yes. To first improve the academic offerings, the current programs, improve the output from the university in terms of the graduate, skills. Yes. To join the labor market, and also introduce new programs in both in business and technology, and invest in upgrading the campus of the university, and also improve the governance and management of the university and manage any deficiencies that were identified previously, due to the various audits and reviews of the university. Yes. So the vision was that the university will have a transformative impact on the lives of learners and society. So that's our vision. And everything we do actually revolves around this vision. Right. And if you look at, for example, our mission, the university's mission is we want to contribute to the growth and sustainability of the economy. Yeah. And that can only be done if you provide quality education to develop young people who could join the labor market. People who are well educated, who have all the transferability skills, the employability skills, and who are flexible and adaptable to the changes in the labor market. Absolutely. So basically, with this mission, and also to invest in research and development, and also introducing entrepreneurship programs, incubators, help students not only get a job, but also form their own businesses. Absolutely. And I think if you look at today, for example, there are many young people, smart people. We have really great potential in Bahrain. These people, they need the support. They need the support in terms of education, but also the support in terms of systems, to help them develop their ideas and to commercialize their ideas and, take it to the level that they will be successful business leaders. And then themselves, they become employers. So that's sort of in a nutshell how the university was acquired and the direction of the university. We want to become, sort of the leading universities to help youth, to empower youth to become productive part of the society and the economy.
Yes. In order to become a productive part of the society, the university also promises their students or their cadres basically the opportunity to become part of the labor force, as you have mentioned, by providing the different programs, different accreditations and so on. And this is possible through cooperation and collaborative work with entities around the Kingdom of Bahrain. So what can you tell us about these kind of cooperations, and how do you value the support provided by the Bahraini government specifically to facilitate and develop private education institutions and their performance?
Okay, let me start first by, the Higher Education Council in Bahrain. Now, the Higher Education Council is a body that regulates the private universities in Bahrain. And since Her Excellency Dr. Sheikh Harana Al Khalifa took over the Higher Education Council, we have seen radical change. And we have seen, incredible improvement in terms of how the Higher Education Council is helping universities, to become more effective, to also help universities offer better services to students. At the end of the day, private universities, students pay, to get quality education. And the Higher Education Council ensures that students get what they pay for. And as universities, we really welcome the vision of Sheikh Harana for taking the Higher Education Council into a new yes, absolutely. And the idea is that for the council not to become an operator, but to become a regulator. And there are many great ideas, and I'm sure that in the future, in the near future, that will be announced, where universities will be given more freedom, but also they will be more accountable for their actions and decisions. So university will become genuinely, in control, and they will be really responsible for their actions and decisions. And that's a great thing, because if you look at universities around Bahrain today, the private universities in Bahrain, they're all well-developed universities. They have good leaders, they have good management, and I think with giving them some sort of freedom in terms of decision making and more flexibility, they will be able to contribute more to the higher education sector, but also they will, I think, it's important to look at the private universities as not only as local, if you like, or education institutions, but they contribute to the GDP. And we want actually to become Bahrain. If you look at Bahrain, is a great place for international students.
Of course.
It's got everything.
It has a lot of potential.
It's got a huge potential to attract international students. And we want to become part of this successful story, to become a hub, an exporter of quality education. And there are great stories around us.
Of course.
We can actually tap on these experiences. It's important that we, at the end of the day, we contribute to the economy in two ways. Directly by producing good graduates to the economy, but indirectly also by attracting investments and international students who will, contribute to the economy in so many different ways. You know, students will need accommodation. They will need, you know, they will use all the facilities in the country.
Yes.
And that's a great thing. If we can increase, have some, you know, national policies, I think this is where we have to start from, to attract international students.
Yes.
I think that will actually transform private universities.
Definitely, yes.
And the other thing is, in terms of the government, you know, efforts to improve private universities, you have the Quality Assurance Authority, which was established, you know, in 2008 as part of the, if you remember, the Education Reform Project, and it was under the Economic Development Board at that time, and there were 3 initiatives. We have the Bahrain Polytechnic was one of them, Bahrain Teachers College, and the Quality Assurance Authority. And the Quality Assurance Authority has contributed immensely to the improving the quality of education institutions. And they are doing a fantastic job in reviewing universities, recommending you know, improvements, and I think they have, you know, succeeded in their mission, honestly, as one of the leading, you know, institutions in Bahrain that helps universities, both private and public, to improve
the educational system or the programs that are there also.
Absolutely, and also in 2012, they have launched the Bahrain Qualification Framework. And the Bahrain Qualification Framework helps learners first provide them access to education, and also help them move from, say, you know, academic to vocational and vice versa. And I think that provides a lot of potential for adult students, working students, who are in the industry now, and they want to
further their education or
continue their education, but they don't know how to enter into the system. The Bahrain Qualification Framework provide that access, provide this regulated access into the system.
That's amazing. When we look at all of these cooperations, there are also, these are on a larger scale, but on a smaller scale or on a more direct scale with UTB, universities, the University of Technology Bahrain and other private universities also have cooperations with government entities such as the Labor Market Authority and other ones to establish new programs, as you've mentioned. I mean, Bahrain is very big on fintech right now. It's big in many other areas. How are these cooperations valued? Are they important to the longevity?
They are absolutely, they are extremely important, and so we have both local and international linkages. If you look at, for example, now for entrepreneurship, for example, you have to link with organizations like Temkeen, for example, the Bahrain Development Bank, you know, financiers, angel investors. You have to link with some other local organizations that provide support for students for you know, business startups. And that's something that universities and our university is working hard to link itself with these organizations. And actually we have now a project that's currently undergoing to you know, develop a system of, you know, incubation and entrepreneurship, but we want to do it in a slightly different way, where we will link it also to student, you know, projects, and also to certain programs at the university that are aimed at the moment at cutting-edge technology areas, where students, when they finish the program, some of them might be successful in actually giving, you know, having some ideas that may actually
be applied.
And may be commercially viable.
Beautiful.
Okay, so that's just an example of how we link with local organizations,
Yeah.
but also we are linking with international organizations
Right.
in different fields as well. So, I don't think any university can operate in a bubble.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
and it's so they have to link with the local community, but at the same time they have to also link with international partners who have a lot of experience in certain specific areas, and that's what we're doing. So we are currently in talk with so many different universities around the world to develop certain areas of the universities.
Right.
We go to the certain universities and we know what they do best, and we want to partner with them just to do this part.
In many ways, even the students demand these kind of when they choose the universities they study in. That's what they look for. These kind of attractions.
Absolutely. As I said, we are now in talks, advanced stages talks with international universities.
Yeah.
To develop either relationships, and these could be either hosted academic programs or validated programs. So you can link with the university, an international university that is known for certain programs they do best, and they can all either validate your program, so they become sort of they give you the seal of approval that they are equivalent to the best in the world, or what is considered to be a world-class program. And but you have another option where you can host some of their programs with you. We've started actually with the national consortium, which is called NCUK. NCUK is the National Consortium United Kingdom, and it's basically a group of the elite universities in the UK. They started with the northern universities in the UK, but now so many other universities have joined, and other universities from New Zealand, Australia, United States and Canada also joined that consortium. And basically what they did, they developed a common foundation program and also developed a common year 1 and year 2 in business and engineering. We started now offering the foundation program at the University of Technology Bahrain, where a student can enroll at a fraction of the cost that a student will pay, say, in the UK. And this program is, if they finish this program with certain grades, they are recognized to enter into year 1 of a bachelor program in some of the best universities in the UK. And I'm talking about the Russell Group. The Russell Group include the best universities, like, for example, Manchester University, Birmingham, Sheffield universities, or Durham. All of these universities are top universities, and entry into these universities is very, very difficult for undergraduates.
But this is another opportunity.
Exactly. So a student, somebody from school, just finished school, if they want to study in the UK, they can do the foundation program in Bahrain. And
transfer.
And then once they finish it, they get acceptance. They in a wide range of subjects, but also in universities. They can go to some of the best universities also in Australia and in New Zealand, like Auckland University, Auckland University of Technology. All of these are part of the NCUK group.
Amazing.
So we started offering this year, and we launched it with the other programs that we have launched.
UTB actually didn't just stop in providing only these kind of cooperations or these kind of opportunities. The university actually believes greatly in the importance of using modern means of technology to achieve constant development of teaching and learning systems. What can you tell us about the efforts in regard as to the expected outcomes you see?
Okay, so we're talking about an area which is probably tagged as digital transformation. We invested a lot in digital transformation project at the university, and there are 2 parts for that. One is the academic part, and the other one is the corporate part or the administrative part. As for the academic part, we have invested a lot in providing hybrid system of education.
Right.
Now, the COVID pandemic has taught universities that they may have to switch
Yes.
overnight into an online mode of
Yes.
education.
Yes.
2 years ago, universities switched almost immediately,
Yes.
thanks to the preparedness of the universities, but also to the incredible infrastructure in Bahrain
Yes.
of communication infrastructure and
Definitely.
internet. So Bahrain is one of these countries that have fantastic infrastructure,
Yes.
and so universities have switched almost, overnight.
Of course.
But they have learned a lot
Mm-hmm.
over the past 2 years, what to do and what not to do.
Yes.
And I think they have a lot of experience now
Yeah.
in online education. But then they moved into an area of what they call now hybrid system,
Mm-hmm.
where you can teach somebody in the classroom, sitting in the classroom, and you've got people sitting at home,
Yeah.
and they get the same experience.
Yes.
This is not easy to achieve.
Yeah.
You need to be prepared technologically to achieve that, and you need trained instructors
Yes.
and teachers and faculty to be able to do that, and you need trained technical people to help you, manage that.
Absolutely.
So this is what we are investing a lot in this. That's one area. We are investing a lot in digital libraries,
Okay.
where students can access, electronic books. The generation today likes to read from mobiles,
Yes.
from laptops, from
Different.
and their library are coffee shops.
Yes. Exactly.
And we have to acknowledge that. We have to
Yes.
acknowledge it's a different generation,
Mm-hmm.
and they learn differently,
Yeah.
and we have to cater for that.
Yes.
We are also investing in simulators,
Okay.
like lab simulators,
Wonderful.
which especially for engineering and also some of them for business.
Yeah.
But for engineering, information technology, computer science, they are very, very important.
Yes.
Students can be sitting at home and taking their lab for a simulator.
Yes.
We are also investing now, we are in talks, let's say, to establish the first Metaverse Lab at the university,
That's wonderful.
which has technologies of mixed reality,
Mm-hmm.
augmented reality, virtual reality, and other technologies, emerging technologies.
Yeah.
And we want to use this as a sort of teaching lab, but also over time we will use it as a research lab.
Right.
And we want to engage with the industry, where we can see how we can use mixed reality technology in training in the industry,
Of course. Yeah.
where their staff can be trained, especially in oil and gas, for example,
Yes.
in a safe environment.
Yes.
So we're investigating all of that with our partners.
Yeah.
And in terms of the investment in digital transformation in corporate, and services.
Mm-hmm.
So we invested in new systems for student information systems, where students can, for online registration, payment, all of that. Students can get, their information, their grades, transcripts, everything online,
Yeah.
over their mobile phone or their computer. We invested in advanced systems for, human resource management, for financial management, and all of that. So I think universities today can't live without really transforming digitally, and having systems, to support their operations in the long term.
Yeah. Not just the pandemic forced this onto universities here in Bahrain or around the world, but also the fact that we think a lot about the Sustainable Development Goals, the national ones as well as the United Nations development goals. But specifically now talking about the national Sustainable Development Goals, what can you tell us? How does UTB contribute to achieving the goals that have been set?
So if you look at the goals, there are 17 goals.
Yes.
Okay. So the Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs, if you read them carefully and you read the indicators, you will find education on almost in every one of them.
Yes.
But there are, I mean, we can't talk about the 17. But let's talk about some of the goals that are very specific to education,
Yes.
like goal number 4, which talks about, you know, education, for example, which is quality education.
Yes.
And I think everything that we are doing is aligned with providing quality education.
Yes.
And the idea is that you want first to have access to education, and number 2, you want to have affordable education.
Yes.
And I think we have benchmarked our tuition fees to become extremely affordable to almost, you know, all sectors of society.
Yes.
And I think that's important.
Yeah.
Our role in the society and the community is to provide education, but also to provide affordable education.
Yes.
All right, and I think this is part of our, you know, giving back and service to our community as well.
Definitely.
So that's one of the goals, and and then you have goals like goal number 8, which is decent work and economic growth.
Yes.
Okay, now, and that, you know, by, for example, just by making sure that your programs develop people both in their core subjects, but also have the skills that the market needs, okay, and they are transferable, so they can change jobs and not be stuck in one job, but they can change jobs, and they have the skills to do that. If you design your programs in such a way that students gain these skills at the end of the day when they graduate, then you are actually contributing to these people will actually get good jobs, and they will contribute to the economy. Goal number 9, it's about the industry, innovation, and infrastructure.
Yes.
Universities participate a lot in research.
Yes.
And I think a lot of universities today, and certainly you know, University of Technology of Bahrain aspires to engage with the industry for applied research, and we have already been doing that. So our research, especially in say mechatronics and computer engineering, you know, we do a lot of projects with the industry.
Yes.
And I think you know, it's important that universities, you know, both you know, engage with the industry, but also for the industry to also support universities in research and development.
Right. Right.
You know, it's a complete cycle. It's not a one-way, you know, relationship.
Instead of giving a standard kind of education, you have problems that are in the actual world, and using these to teach the students, because that's what they will see.
And you can imagine the impact of that both on the students and the industry.
Of course.
When they see young people, you know, identifying a problem and working on it, and then they get some solutions, you know, for these problems. And I think that's how most advanced universities, you know, are operating.
Right.
The research funding comes from the industry.
Yes.
We want to reach in Bahrain that stage, where we get, you know, where the industry gets value for their investment in research.
Right.
So it is not a charity.
Yes.
You go to the industry, and the industry will invest in research and development of their products and their services, and the university will do that research for them.
Yes.
So it's a win-win situation for both the industry, and I think, you know...
Yeah, if anything, it's a problem-solving method.
Exactly, yeah. We have, I think, to foster and to work hard on actually engaging with the industry.
Okay.
And see, the problem is, if you go to the industry and you say to them, okay, I want this amount of money to conduct research, that doesn't work.
Okay.
You go to them, I will give you this. This is the value you're getting.
Yes.
So, because they are private institutions.
Right.
Okay, and at the end of the day, it's a business deal.
Right.
And I think this is how we should approach it.
Yeah.
If we are going to be successful.
Yes.
So in contribution to the SDGs, I think there's just I just mentioned 3 areas where the university contributes
Yeah.
to the SDGs.
When in reality, it could be even more than
And
that.
it could be even more.
Yes, of course.
Yes.
Definitely. When we talk about the SDGs, these would not be possible without having the kind of collaborations with even international institutions. You've mentioned some of them previously, but when we go more in depth, Bahrain has found or has gotten a lot of recognition, especially recently after the pandemic and everything, and the way the reaction to the pandemic was by Team Bahrain, headed by His Royal Highness the Crown Prince. A lot of international institutions know more about Bahrain's capabilities now. What can you tell us about the importance of these international collaborations? How do you value them?
So, Bahrain has a 100-year history in education, in formal education. And it's not strange that Bahrain is, you know, is actually in the leading edge of, you know, development in education.
Yes.
Behind every successful story, there is a leader.
Yes.
And our leader, you know, His Majesty the King, supported by His Royal Highness the Crown Prince and Prime Minister, you know, have made sure that there is sustainable development of the education sector in Bahrain.
Yes.
And, you know, for example, Article 7 of the Constitution, you know, basically affirms the Bahrain that its permanent commitment to providing citizens with free and compulsory education.
Yes.
And that has resulted in almost, you know, approaching 100% literacy rate.
Right.
Which is, you know,
which
is incredible. Okay, in terms of you know, and there are so many other you know, achievements in the education you know, landscape in Bahrain that was acknowledged by international organizations like the UNESCO, the World Bank, and there was the last one that Bahrain achieved in terms of the education indicators. Achieved the number 1, you know, spot on the Arab world.
Yes.
And according to the report of the Boston Consulting Group.
Yes.
And that was even acknowledged by the World Bank and also by the UNESCO.
Yes.
You know, and their project Education for All.
Yeah.
So you know, these international organizations, they affirm Bahrain's, you know, if you like, commitment and also efforts in making sure that the education system in Bahrain and the education output in Bahrain is one of the best in the world.
Yes, definitely. Also, having this kind of international recognition gives strength to the educational institutions that we have here in Bahrain. Specifically, it gives them also an opportunity to provide this kind of education to people from the outside, as you've mentioned before.
Yes.
What can you tell us about UTB's direction when it comes to this kind of educational tourism that can be provided on the island?
Okay, so now, see, the University of Technology Bahrain has international students.
Yes.
We have, especially from GCC, and especially from Saudi Arabia, and also from other, you know, nationalities.
Yes.
As I said before, Bahrain has a lot going for it. You know, we have incredible infrastructure, hospitable people. You know, peace and security and stability.
Yes.
Our location, you know, is just is ideal. You know, we have. I mean, if you look at also the real estate development in Bahrain, that can cater for, you know, all types of you know, choices for international students.
Yes.
So Bahrain is well suited actually and well positioned to become you know, a hub for international education.
Yes.
We just need, I think, to focus a little bit more on certain mechanisms to make this, you know, to make this happen.
Right.
Or to improve the number of international students, because they provide education, higher education, private or public.
Yes.
But international students provide a very sizable, contribution to the GDP.
Yes.
Look at, for example, England alone. Of course, England has got hundreds of years old universities.
Of course.
But if you look at England, for example, you're talking about something like 100 billion,
Yes.
pounds
Yes.
annual contribution of international
Absolutely.
students. A very good example is Malaysia.
Mm-hmm.
Malaysia, you're talking about their target for 2020 was around $60 billion
Wow.
of contribution in GDP from
Educational.
from international students.
Yes.
And their experiment actually is worth studying.
Okay.
Just as an example, imagine if you want to go and study in a different country.
Mm-hmm.
Where would you go? How would you actually search for universities?
Right.
Imagine if you have one hub where you can just go there and all the universities will be available in that hub, all the programs, all the information you need in terms of academic programs, the fees, the help in student visa and accommodation,
Right.
and setting you up in a new country. I think this is what we need to do. We need to move into this sort of national sort of systems where international students can actually just visit one area, visit one website, one portal, and it has all the information about all the universities in Bahrain.
Yes.
And they can register through that, and they can send their interest to the
Yes.
universities.
Absolutely.
So the other thing is, you need support system for international students.
Of course.
Universities must develop this sort of international student support offices,
Yes.
okay, or support systems.
Right.
And then you need your marketing.
Right.
You need to market your country, but also
Yes.
your academic, offerings.
Yes.
And what's in it? Why is it? Why should I come to Bahrain?
Why is
to
this
study?
university special? Why is Bahrain special?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's difficult because
Yeah.
Bahrain can easily
In
be
reality,
marketed
Bahrain already has the platform. It's already there.
It's got
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
And I think it's, the effect of this is not only direct and indirect, contribution to GDP and economy, but also the effect on the private universities themselves.
Right.
They will be able to spend more into developing their facilities, their programs, their people,
Absolutely.
because then they will have, better revenue,
Right.
all right, from international students. And I think you can easily get international students from around the area, from GCC, but also from beyond.
Yes. Yes.
And I firmly believe that Bahrain has got everything going for it,
Yes.
To become the hub of education in the area.
Definitely, definitely. Contributions by private institutions are also important. What do they provide to different students, whether locally or internationally? The university, or UTB, has actually recently announced the largest plan of scholarship in its history. Can you tell us more about it, along with the various offered programs maybe that are in the scholarship?
Yeah, okay. So we have since 2021, we have designed new programs, 5 new programs.
Okay.
We have started improving the existing programs, and this year, because we are launching 3 new programs, one of them with the 3 subspecialties, and we are launching also the International Foundation program with NCUK.
Yes.
So we launched a Bachelor of Environmental Engineering, which is the only program, I think, in Bahrain, and probably it's a very unique program in the region as well. Not many universities have this program. It's and its focus on environmental engineering is timely, because there's a huge focus on all the environmental issues and the changes that's happening to the world.
Right.
So we believe that this is going to help in providing the industry with the right people to tackle all of these environmental issues.
Right.
The other program is the Bachelor of Science in Information Technology with the 3 subspecialties, which is cybersecurity, artificial intelligence and data analytics, and programming or application development.
Wonderful.
We've got also Bachelor of Accounting and Finance, and we have the International Foundation year. So because we are launching new programs, we've decided to, for the launch, for the first year, to give all the programs to get a flat 25%, off the fees.
Wonderful.
For the whole duration of the program, for all the new programs, and for the International Foundation year, we're giving 40% of that.
Beautiful.
And that's going to be just, for the launch year. And and then we have also other categories of scholarships. High achievers, students who got higher GPA, for example, in computer engineering, they are getting 50% of their fees.
Yeah.
And our fees are already competitive, extremely competitive compared to all other universities. But still, they are getting this kind.
It's even more incentive for students
to
apply and to look at these programs.
Exactly, and it's also providing opportunities for students. To study technology, to study in business. Programs that they find difficult to study elsewhere.
Right.
So we are also offering like corporates and companies, up to 25% of our fees. The people with special needs, orphans, we are offering also a lot of scholarships in this area.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. So we think that it's our role in the society, in the community. And we firmly believe that, at the end of the day, these people will not only benefit the university, but also benefit the economy and the country at the end of the day.
If not a global economy as well, when you have them going out
and especially if you have international students,
Absolutely.
Yes.
When we talk about the pandemic specifically, now coming in the era where we are leaving the pandemic, hopefully, a lot of changes came and hit the educational system specifically. From, as you've mentioned before, the digital transformation that had to happen suddenly. There are a lot of pros and a lot of cons that happened at that point. We saw a lot of students that flourished in the digital transformation because they were shy in class or they weren't able to come or whatever it is. And on the other hand, we also saw a lot of students that need that one-on-one with their professors or with the academic staff. From your point of view, how did the pandemic and the changes that it has omitted on us or has put on us, how did it increase the research that was put towards better education in the future, specifically in Bahrain?
Okay, so as you said, I mean, the pandemic came suddenly, and all institutions around the world had to deal with this challenge of switching to online education. Some of them were prepared more than others, and depending on especially the sort of the type of the programs you're offering, that has also affected how you deal with the situation.
Yes.
If you're in a university of technology like ours, where your programs are mainly engineering and computer engineering and computer science, we also have business. But if you have engineering programs and technology programs that require labs and requires a lot of practicals, then your challenge is even more.
Of course.
And I think that there has been a lot of research in this area since then, and I have read many papers either from Bahrain or internationally.
Yes.
And strangely enough, one of the sort of observations in this research, which is interesting, is that in one of the papers, majority of students seem to want to come back to university.
Yes.
And they just are fed up with this.
2 years was too long.
Yes. However, and a lot of them, even at the beginning of the pandemic, like maybe in the beginning of second year of pandemic, some of the research data indicates that students are not very satisfied with their experience, learning experience remotely.
Self-assessment.
The other thing is that if you look at the faculties, the teachers, there were much higher satisfaction rate among teachers that, with going online. Now, that may tell you something, which I don't know. But anyway, I think it's been, students have missed that human element.
Yes.
At the end of the day, you don't learn just by sitting at home and reading a book.
Right.
You learn by being with other people.
Yeah.
You learn by doing. You learn by sharing your ideas.
Yes.
Being in a physical space, with your colleagues, with your faculty and instructors,
yes.
Still has this advantage.
Definitely.
All right. It also develops people's skills.
Yeah.
For practicals, no matter how much you invest in simulators and having softwares that help students do their labs and practicals at home remotely, it is still different.
Yes.
It's different than coming to the lab and touching things and doing things by your hand. And especially if you're talking about engineering, they just have to do it, in physically in the labs.
Yes. Yes.
And maybe the assessment part is a very challenging part also.
Yes.
How do you ensure reliability of your assessment? Trying to copy what you were doing in the classroom, trying to copy that practice online, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
When switching to an online, mode of education, even the way you assess students should be different.
Yes.
You cannot use the same methodology and the same, let's say, assessment,
absolutely,
design that you used to have in your classroom.
Yeah.
Use it online. So I think there has been a lot of learning in terms of how do we ensure reliability of our assessment.
Yes. Yes.
Is online going to disappear now that the pandemic is gone? I believe that there is still a place for online learning, and especially for adult learners who
are working,
who are always traveling. Maybe
yes.
There are still subjects that can, or at least part of it, can still be offered online.
Yes.
I'm not talking about the whole program being offered online, but certain parts of it can still be offered online and be reliable.
Right.
You can still have your assessments at the university, premises, to ensure, they are robust.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, I think we still have to think of a healthy and, effective hybrid mode.
Yes.
Everybody is trying to, I think, now define what is the best mix of online and, and physical education.
Yes.
And I think this is where we are at now.
Absolutely.
We have been 100% online, and now we're going back to 100% physical.
Yes. But there might be a small capability.
I wish that we could, still, adopt a hybrid mode of education that is still effective and provide access to students who otherwise wouldn't be able to, study in higher education.
Absolutely.
So we have to think of those as well.
Definitely, especially that we saw that some students actually did flourish with the online because they were able to work better, work more hours in their work, and have more specifically time in the evening to study, for instance, or something.
Absolutely.
They were able to divide their time.
And they can study anytime, so they can listen to the lessons lectures anytime. But also, as you said, adult students and working students are finding it extremely, helpful. Yeah. To attend an online program. Yes. But still, I don't believe that an online program should be 100% online. There should be a balance.
Yeah.
Students still have to come to the premises. But as you said, I think we have to define.
Yes. Yes.
And understand what is the best model for hybrid, education, higher education.
Because it was a positive outcome at the end of the day.
It is a positive outcome. There are students who struggled.
Yes.
And those students who are more mature students, I think, especially in their maybe senior years, were better equipped to deal with 100% online, education.
Yes.
And especially students who are working students, they are more mature and they know how to deal with it maybe in a better way than, say, first year or school students.
Yes, definitely.
But I honestly believe that a hybrid system still has its place.
Staying on the topic of research, how do you value the current status of academic research in the kingdom? We talked about it a little bit, but let's see the current situation compared to its regional and international peers, and what are the exerted efforts by the University of Technology Bahrain to contribute positively, specifically to this field?
Okay, so if you look at the research outputs, of different countries around the world and research, and you're looking at two things, really. You're looking at the number of publications they have, but also there is a much more important indicator, which is the impact.
Right.
You can have huge number of research publications, but they have no impact. So we're looking at two things: number and quality of research, and how impactful was that research. So of course, Bahrain has improved dramatically over the past few years in terms of research output from universities. And that was the result actually of Higher Education Council regulations, that all universities must spend about 3% of its revenue on research, which helped a lot in forcing universities in spending on research.
Yes.
And I think this is great.
Yes.
And it is not enough, actually.
Yeah.
And that's why I said at the beginning that universities must involve the industry in its research spending. But they have to go to the industry with a value proposal.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, I don't want to go for industry to get a donation. You go to the industry with a research proposal that adds value to the.
It has to be a win-win situation.
Exactly, to the company.
Yes.
But in general, I think, without going into any sort of figures, I think the situation of research output in Bahrain has improved a lot. And also not only the number of research articles that are published by different universities, but also even the quality of research.
Yes.
Especially now, most universities, and we have in our research strategy, that all papers that are to be published by the university has to be published in peer-reviewed journals, journals that are listed in Scopus, which is the best-known database for international journals.
Yes.
We have spent a lot this year and last year on research. We support our faculty by giving them time to do the research. So we give them we give them certain number of hours per week that are just blocked about. So it's about 25% of their time, is blocked for research. And so they don't have teaching at that time or anything. It's just for them to do research. We support them by investing in in labs, by providing all the resources they need.
Even your faculty. I mean, when I went through the website, you can see even the faculty that is there are of the caliber that had a lot of publications or have worked a lot on publications.
Absolutely. I mean, when we hire people, we make sure that they are not only good teachers,
Yes.
but they're also good researchers.
Of course.
And a lot of the faculties that we have hired, lately, have fantastic, record of publications and research.
Yes.
And I think the research output of the university, is going to really increase dramatically over the next few years.
Sure, definitely.
Yeah.
Well, before we come to the end of the show, after years of dedicated efforts, UTB, or the University of Technology Bahrain, has accomplished various achievements. What can you tell us about these accomplishments, and what are the efforts that you put out to maintain these successes?
Okay, so since the acquisition, which is in end of 2020,
Yes.
I made sure that the plan that the board of directors has entrusted me with is implemented.
Yeah.
So we worked hard on first improving the academic offerings, the existing ones, but also introducing new programs, which we have done. And the other thing is that we wanted to get our programs accredited, and we obtained international accreditation of our engineering and computer science programs, which is by ABIT.
Yes.
And ABIT is probably the world's most well-known accrediting body for engineering. So we got that until 2028.
Wonderful.
Our business programs are also accredited by the European Council, but also we're working on now higher accreditation. So we believe that international accreditation of our program is very, very important, as well as the local validation by the quality assurance.
Right.
So these are two areas. We invested a lot in campus development, which is still, the work is still going on and will still be going on for the next few months. So we invested a lot in student facilities. We want our students to have really cutting edge facilities, sports facilities. We invested in upgrading our campus physically, but also invested a lot in our people training. So I think we have a number of few projects which are working on, and I'm sure that they will soon see the light. One of them is the Entrepreneurship Project, okay, which is going to be done with an international organization that specializes in this field. The other one is, we just talked about, which is our Metaverse Lab.
Yes.
We're investing a lot also in this. We have also, new projects for relationships with international universities.
Yeah.
So we're just studying what is the best sort of relationship that we should have and with who.
Yeah.
And we want to choose really reputable universities that are internationally ranked.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, we want to make sure that whatever we do improves the outcome of the university, improves the ranking of the university.
Yes.
So we're working hard on that.
And you stand out within your field.
And being a university of technology, we have to stand out, and
Yeah.
especially in technology programs.
Perfect. That's amazing. Thank you so much, Doctor, for being with us today and for answering all of our questions. And good luck on all of the future plans and the upcoming projects for UTB.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we'd like to thank you, dear viewers, for watching us. And we'll see you next week in another episode of Inside Edition.